he's dangerous. He's got dynamite in both fists.
This is a big fight for boxing fans all around the world.
How to exploit Joe's weaknesses and recognise his strengths.
Frank Warren suggested that the winner of this fight will go on.
Oun Abbas saying here for Seconds Out, here with the main man, 40 years in the business, Frank Warren. Frank, at last, we're here.
At last.
We're here. How does it feel to be a relieved man? I know there's been a couple of scares, a couple of rearrangements, but talk to me how you're feeling at the moment.
I'm feeling right. I'll feel much better on Saturday when I step in the ring. Then I feel everything's been done. It's been hard work, as you know, getting this on, but everybody's really worked hard. The fighters, their camps, and us, Queensbury, to get it over the line, and that's what we've done. And BT, that's what we've done.
Fighting talk from both men. Joe's very, very confident that he can get the job done. Daniel showing his youth, saying, let's get it on, let's just get into the ring, let's do it. But Frank, I know that Daniel's your guy, but realistically, how tough a job is it going to be for him on Saturday night?
Look, they're both with Queensbury, and sometimes the business calls for fighters who are under the same promoter to get it on with each other. Fact is, Daniel signed with me before he signed with Joe, as we know, and we are where we are. The reason this fight's happened because both the fighters wanted it. They wouldn't take a backward step. No one was prepared to drop out, so it's on. They've called for it. They've got this tremendous self-belief that they both have the beating of each other, which is good. I think we're going to see something a little bit special on Saturday. I really do feel we're going to see a real good quality heavyweight, old-fashioned heavyweight fight, and because I think that's what they'll deliver to the fans. I've never seen them both look so well. Joe especially has got himself into good shape. Daniel's in tremendous condition. So there'll be no excuses for anybody here for the loser, and nor are they looking for them either.
With the sort of public demand for this fight, once sort of the British Border Control called for this fight all that time ago, the fans wanted it since then. It was going to happen earlier on in the year. COVID came, rearranged. It's not on pay-per-view. I know you would have liked to put it on pay-per-view to probably give a bigger show, a better show, but the main event's still here. How much was public demand the main influence of getting it on without any pay-per-view?
It wasn't. It was our decision. It was us and BT decided to do that. We just felt that times were tough, and we felt there was, at that time, if you remember, there was about 3 or 4, there was 4 pay-per-view shows going to be on. So we felt that was too much, and that's why we did what we did. Simple as that. No pressure from anybody. That was our decision.
I do want to talk about a situation that's come up in regards to Ismael Salas, the coach for Joe Joyce. We know that he's tested positive for COVID-19, but the fight's still going on. Can you just tell the fans in regards to what's actually happened and how the fight's still happening?
Well, what he did, he came over here quite a while ago. I was training Joe, and he had another fighter fighting a couple of weeks ago, and he went back out to the States for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not sure how long he was out there to be with his other fighter. Then came back here. Obviously, we're all conscious of COVID and the problems, so he was picked up from the airport in a car, kept separate from everybody till he passed his test. Unfortunately, he tested positive, so he's no longer in the corner.
And the British Board of Control were fine to sort of know that he was in contact with Joe, so they could...
They've seen all the paperwork and documentation, so they're okay with it. And obviously, if there was a problem, we wouldn't be letting the fight go ahead.
Frank, on fight night, what do you expect to happen? We know, and both fighters are saying it's going to finish within the distance. But yourself, you've seen heavyweights. You've had 40 years of experience with big fights. How do you see this one playing out?
I think exactly what the two fighters have said. I think that's how it will play out. Big punches. I think, somebody's going to have to go out and dominate the fight from the beginning. I don't think they'll be cagey. I think as soon as the first bell goes, they'll get down to business. And it's going to be interesting whose jab dominates it from the start. It's going to be speed, pace, and obviously they're big bangers. Collectively, they've only had 2 opponents, one each, who've gone the distance. All the rest of them have all been knocked over. So I don't think we'll be. I don't think this fight will go the distance. I think there's going to be a lot of big shots going to be whizzing around and everything. I think it's just going to be fantastic. The only disappointment I've got is not in front of a live audience, because I think the atmosphere would be tremendous, but it's going to be great anyway. It's going to be a fantastic fight.
I am going to talk to you about a live audience, which we've obviously had the government announcement, but before I ask you about that, something I sort of pulled out from the press conference. Daniel's very confident, but he sent a message to the rest of the heavyweight division. And he's not done that before. When I've been around him, I've asked him questions. He's never done that before. He made a message that he sent a message saying, once I've dealt with Joe, I'm ready for the rest of them. How great is it that you've seen Daniel progress from this quiet, shy, big man, but now he's gone into he's got this sense of confidence in him. He's producing the sort of performances on fight nights. How great is it to be in your position?
I've got to be honest with you, he's been pretty confident since I first met him. He's had confidence, but it's not been outwardly. He's not brash. He's not arrogant. He doesn't, shout it out. And he's not that type of guy. But he's obviously, he turned pro at a young age, and he's getting more confidence in front of speaking with the public. But he's quite eloquent, and he believes in his ability. Tremendous self-belief. As Joe has, by the way, but tremendous self-belief, and he feels, and I know that this fight, the winner of this fight, is next year is going to be phenomenal for them. They all know what's on the line. They both know what's on the line here. You've got British, Commonwealth, European, WBC silver belt, and that number 2, the very valuable number 2 spot in the WBO. That's what's on the line. These guys know what's at the stake. It's not going to be the end of the world for a loser. Yeah. It won't be the end of the world for a loser. But this is the real deal.
I want to ask you then, number 1 in the WBO is Alexander Usyk. He fought a couple of weeks ago against Derek Chisora. And it was his first real test at heavyweight. What did you make of him coming up to heavyweight?
Look, he was a ultra brilliant cruiserweight. Unbelievable, what he did. At heavyweight, he's fought Chaz Witherspoon. I think went 7 rounds with him. Won the fight. That was his first fight at that weight. And obviously he fought Derek. And I know Derek backwards. I mean, I've promoted him for God knows how many years. And Derek did what he always does. Went out there and he gives a good account of himself. But I can see that with Usyk, I think that, with the real top quality heavyweights, and he certainly is. He was a great cruiserweight, as I said. I think he's going to have to really be able to. Can he maintain that pace? Because his speed against these big guys. Can he maintain that for 12 rounds? I don't know where he can or he can't. And the thing is, when normally somebody comes up from that weight division, they do it. They do it around 26, 27, 28, maybe even a little bit older. They can grow into that. What is he, 33, 34? Yeah. At that age, you're not going to grow into a heavyweight. And his weight on the night was probably just eating normally and not have to watch his diet as you would normally have to do. I don't know. Whether he's truly big enough or not, I'm not sure. I fancy either of these guys against him.
You spoke about live audiences just a little while ago. We've got the announcement that, it looks like sporting events can have some sort of attendance very soon. London's been announced as Tier 2, which means that it will be able to. Anthony Yard versus Lyndon Arthur is next week. Just give me an update in regards to sort of the people that can come and watch it.
Well, we're not selling tickets for it.
Okay.
Obviously, as you said, it's Tier 2. We know where we're at. We know how many tickets, or we're working out how many people we can get in there. But what we're doing, we're going to give the tickets to our invited guests, who are going to basically be key workers who work very hard and to keep everybody safe during the pandemic. And I want to invite the Chelsea pensioners along, and we'll make sure they're in a safe environment at the venue too.
Talking about the government going forward, I want to talk about grassroots boxing and the sort of lack of government investment in it. We saw the government put out an announcement covering every sport apart from boxing. Just your reaction to that, Frank?
It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. I look at that and look where they've allocated money. It's dreadful. If you start off with professional boxing, Now, the guys at the top, the Tyson Furies, Anthony Joshua's and a few of the other champions, they're pretty well set up for life. They're okay, but that's financially. They still need, obviously, to work from a mental perspective, but they're pretty okay. You've got probably 95% of the boxers in this country are not in that position, and certainly got young guys with mortgages, young families, and the people who work with them, they're trainers and managers. They get a living from the sport. They get no financial assistance. There's nothing happening at any of the small halls. There's no small hall shows going on. There's just Matchroom and Cells doing shows, and I think MTK. So we've got the financial cushion of TV helping us. We're not making any money but to help us. But there's nothing, other than that, there's nothing going on. So how are these guys getting by? You know, these small hall shows, a lot of money get on the shows by selling tickets. You can't have big audiences there, or sell, which they're not going to be able to have in the York halls as well. They're going to struggle. And the board have absolutely ignored, the government have absolutely ignored that. And then you've got the amateur side of it, where there's nothing going on. You've just got the GB squad, which is probably, there are a couple of thousand, 3,000 amateur boxers in the country, I'm not sure. But you got the GB squad. How many fighters is that? What's 20, 25? I don't know how many it is. They get supported. Nobody else. No amateur shows. Can't go to their gyms. Not training. These are all in inner city areas. You know where these gyms are part of the community and help the community. It helps with things like obesity. It helps with interacting between ethnic communities, gives them discipline, keeps them off the street, especially in places like London, Manchester and other cities where you've got this knife crime. Zilch has been done for them. Yet come an election, you get Boris Johnson in a gym wearing a pair of gloves, having a photo opportunity with a boxer. I can remember back when David Cameron with Amir Khan up in Bolton and George Brown, who was up against the election, fighting to get him involved in their respective parties. Where are you now? Where are all you people now who use it when boxing is a sport, for kids from working class backgrounds. I'm sure these kids would like to be tennis players, golfers, racing car drivers, and so. But they're never be able to afford that or get the support to be able to do that. They're boxers. But all these other sports, greyhound racing, ice hockey. When did we ever win any gold medals in any of those sports? When did greyhound racing, which I appreciate they're getting it hard and they need some support. But if you're going to support them, support boxing, because come the Olympic Games, who's normally comes out of the Olympic Games as the most popular athlete? Anthony Joshua, a gold medal. Audley Harrison when he got a gold medal. Nicola Adams, Amir Khan. And everyone wants to be around. All the government and all the opportunities with them, all the photographs with them then. Come and support the bloody sport and do something for it. It's a disgrace.
Totally agree, Frank. Just final two questions. Just want to talk about the two Tysons. First of all, Tyson Fury, unfortunately, not out in 2020 no more. Just give me your sort of decision making through that.
Well, he's just knocking me out. It didn't stack up, and hopefully he'll be out next year, early next year. That's what everybody's working towards making happen.
Finally, in regards to 40 years in the game, one story that always sticks out is the Mike Tyson story. We've heard it many a times about him not paying the bill, and you've had to sort of, cover that bill, and you two having a sort of altercation, or Mike more Mike sort of having an altercation with yourself. But he's fighting on Saturday night after this. What do you make of the two veterans coming back to the sport in a 8-2 rounders?
Well, as you know, it's on BT TV, who I work with. For me, it's a car crash. You've got these two guys who are going to be fighting. It's the car crash but everybody's going to turn their neck to watch it, probably including me. I'll tune in. Won't be able to help myself, as much as I don't think old guys should be in the ring at that age fighting. It is what it is.
Frank, always a pleasure talking to yourself. 40 years in the business, and no doubt we'll speak to you more in the future. Thank you very much.
Cross to another 40 years.
Thank you very much, Frank.